is up, everyone, and welcome back to Across the Board, sponsored by MoneyBall Metrics. We have made it to the NFL edition / UFC edition. We are super excited to be here breaking down the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Fellas, we all absolutely crushed the first round of the NFL playoffs. I believe we all profited. We all had a big first weekend. So we're looking to replicate that and give our viewers even more winners. JD, a new fresh hoodie today. How are you today?
Thank you. Good, man. Doing well. Yeah, man. Today's slate of games is very good, and I'm super pumped.
Absolutely. We have a beautiful slate we're going to be breaking down. The boys are in the comments already pumped up. Joe is here. It's Friday. Let's get it. J-Bo, our guy. What's up, family? We appreciate you. It is great to have Ben and Jammer on. I agree. And Bill Norman checking in from the YouTube. What's up, Bill? We appreciate you tuning in as always. Ben, over to you. How are you today, my brother?
Doing great today. Feeling good for the second round of the playoffs. Unfortunately, my team isn't in it anymore, and we'll be getting to that shortly. It's been a tough week after that loss, but we have some really good games coming up this weekend, and we still have a few teams that could win and very well have a great shot to win their first Super Bowl ever. So you got to be excited.
Absolutely. Jammer, over to you. How are you today, brother?
Ben, I'm right there with you. Sad that my team's not here, but, at least we got invited to the dance.
Yep.
Yeah.
We came to the dance, and our dates went home with someone else.
Yep. So at least we didn't have that happen, JD. I know our two teams did not make it, so we'll allow them to have their women stolen at the prom, unlike us. Fellas, a couple things we do on the show that we're going to get into right away. First thing we're going to do is, unfortunately, go over our Thursday recap. That graphic's pretty dope. Can't lie about that. I'll go first here. I had a 1-3 overall day. It was not a great day. I did tell you that the Cavs may blow out the Thunder. What an idiot that guy was who said that. The Thunder came out. They didn't miss any shots. I thought the big difference in that game was going to be the big men, and it turned out to not be a difference because the Thunder just couldn't miss anything. They were on. They played a fantastic game. It was only a one-unit play, but it was a good win from the Thunder last night. JD, how'd you do yesterday?
Man, yesterday was one of those cards that, we've all been actually doing this for a long, long time now. And there's some days where you're just like, damn, this is a really good card. I feel really good about this one. And actually, yesterday for me was actually one of those days. I was like, damn, this is a good card here. Almost everything lost. It was one of the worst days I've had in a very long time. It was just one of those actually outlier game after outlier game. I don't even know how that happened to every single game that I happened to be on. Yeah, man, it was just one of those days. And that's where it's just one of those things where as far as your system goes, man, you just got to stick to it. Because if you don't, that actually bankroll will be gone.
Yep.
Like that. So.
Absolutely. And we do this every single day. There are going to be days that do not go your way, but I can guarantee you with JD and every other person on here that there are more profitable days than losing days with the bets. So definitely understand that. Those days are going to happen, and we will always move through that. Ben, how did you do yesterday?
It was an up and down day for me. My max on the Pistons lost. I really thought they were going to play a lot better. They've been hot lately. They did not. But we did well in NFL and college basketball to neutralize that a little bit. So ended up being a pretty even day for me, actually, overall.
You did well in NFL yesterday? That's news. That's news to us. I don't know
what. I meant college basketball. Yeah, you guys know those Thursday playoff games that they do now? Yeah,
right.
I crushed them.
A big
college basketball and NHL went well for me to make up for that Pistons and Cavs loss for me.
Impressive win by your Gophers. I know you're a Minnesota guy. I know
that was
a big
awesome
win for you guys. I was not enjoying that because I took Michigan, who was up by 11 at the half, but a complete second half meltdown by Michigan, and it was a big performance by Minnesota. So good work from your boys there. Jammer, how'd you do yesterday?
I wish I could tell you guys that we profited, but it was a unit loss on a 1-2 night. But good news for everyone here is that I went 4-0 on best bets last week, so we're looking to keep that momentum rolling into this week.
Oh, yeah. We absolutely love that. All right, fellas. Well, it's a Friday show, and we have our first UFC pay-per-view of the year that will be coming to us tomorrow. So we have to do our MMA hour with Ben. Ben, over to you. What do you like in this week's UFC major card? I know there's some fantastic fights on the card.
I am loving a little Kevin Holland plus money here. There's a hot guy coming up in the division, Rainier DeRitter. He's absolutely crushed it on the regional scenes. He came out in his UFC debut and he beat Gerald Meerschaert, who usually wins every single fight he's ever been in by submission. He got submitted by DeRitter, and now I think people are putting way too much stock. As good as he is at grappling, he was super old. You know, he's a 37 or 38-year-old now. He's been losing a ton of fights. I don't put nearly as much stock in that. Like, people are like, oh, he submitted one of the best submission guys ever. Yes, that's true. He had a ton of submissions, but you can't put too much weight into that performance. And I really think Kevin Holland is still the better grappler here. He trains at a BJJ gym. He's got a reach advantage in this fight of 3 inches, and that was not the case. Gerald Meerschaert was a smaller frame for the middleweight division, and I really think that Kevin Holland's going to have a much better time grappling in this fight. So as far as the grappling goes, I think it's even, and the striking is clearly in Kevin Holland's favor. So I don't get this line at all. I'm going to take him plus 110. I really think he's in a good spot in this fight.
He should be able to have a big fight. I absolutely love Kevin Holland here too, so I will be able to tail you on that one. I love that. Any other UFC plays you like from the weekend?
Yeah, so I also really like some of the co-main event action. I would love to absolutely take a shot on the underdog Sarukian in the main event.
Wow.
This is a rematch. These guys are fighting. The first time these guys met, it was Arman Sarukian's UFC debut. I think that was kind of a tough fight for him to come into his debut to. And all of a sudden, he's back in this spot for a title fight. And I think that I'm actually going to take a shot on him as the underdog, as long as he can neutralize the grappling of Makhachev, which he did okay in the first time. Like, for making his debut, he actually fought a pretty competitive fight. I think he's clearly the better striker. If he can kind of just stand up and, get up against the fence and fend off some of these takedowns, I actually believe he's the better striker and can piece him up in the main event. Co-main event, I'm taking Umar Nurmagomedov. I have to. He's also got an unbeaten record like his cousin, Khabib. He's just looked so good as he's gone through the division. And kind of the same thing. I actually think this is very similar to the main event. If Umar Nurmagomedov can stuff the takedown attempts of Merab Dvalishvili, I really believe he's going to win with pretty dominant striking. The one thing different from Umar to all his other, Russia guys is that he has great striking. A lot better striking than a lot of those wrestling heavy guys. Like, his striking looks excellent. He's one of the best strikers, I believe, in the division. So if he can stand up Merab's, takedown attempts and stuff some of those attempts, I really think he's going to be the better striker in this fight. So I'm going to go Umar by decision, minus 105. I think you're going to get a great price on that. And I'm taking the shot on Arman Sarukian as the underdog in the main event, plus 260.
I like that. I think Sarukian's a good play there, so I'm going to be tailing you on both of those. Let's have an absolutely monster UFC card. One question from the comments here. Edgar Santiago, not really a question, more of a statement. I want to get your opinion on that. Moicano, Moneyline, Megamax. What do you think?
That one, I don't know. Beneil Dariush is so up and down for me. I feel like I can never get a read on him. I wouldn't like to fade him in this spot. I think the price, it's the price for me. Because you have a little bit of a heavy line on Moicano here. If this was like closer to even money, I would say take a shot on him all day. But Dariush, like, he always fights for your money, and the fact that he's plus 140, I actually think I like that a little bit better. I don't think Moicano loses. It's just I don't think he's worth minus 170 or whatever his juice is right now, because I know it's around there, which is a little bit heavy for me.
I respect
if
that.
I lose, I don't want to lose 1.7 on him because Dariush can come out hot.
Is there a line that's your max? Like, for the people, like, let's say a minus 150. Is that the highest you're going to go? And I did just pull up the fight. You're right. It is a minus 170 on the dot. Is like minus 150 your limit? What is your limit on that?
No, I think it really depends on the fight. You have to gauge your risk. If you find a minus 200 and you don't want to take a prop on, like, decision or KO or something, if you think minus 200 is the value, I have made some straight bets at like minus 200. That would be, I would say, my absolute max. I want to take over minus 200. But it's different when you're talking UFC because you don't get spreads. You don't get, these extra things to bring juice down. You have to take a money line or a prop. And if you're not confident in a prop, but you're confident in the fighter, sometimes you have to eat juice. So I'd say if you're confident enough, but in certain spots, it's just not worth it. And I think Moicano is a great example of that. But I usually try and stay for straight picks under minus 150 unless I'm pretty confident in the fighter.
There we go. There we go. Good answer. I'm sure the people appreciated that kind of information, getting kind of the inside look on how you go about capping.
Or Joel made a good point. Anything greater than minus 150, parlay them with another fighter.
I agree.
Which I also love.
I agree.
You find two minus 200s, you parlay them, you get around even money, sometimes plus money.
Absolutely. I agree with you there. Well, Ben, I think that's going to wrap it up for the MMA Hour with you, unless you have any other plays or any other fights you want to go over.
Nope, but there will be more in the Discord, of course. Big card this week.
Make sure you guys get in the Discord. Well, Ben, unfortunately, we're going to have to say goodbye to you.
Oh.
We're going to have to say goodbye to you.
This one's going to hurt.
And Ben, good luck, sir. A little
better
early.
than alphas.
A
Much better
little
than
early.
alphas the other week.
I didn't know if you were going to play the graphic or not. That one hurts. That one hurts way more than usual. I think
Just to
that's the
recap.
first cluck bet I'm clucking after a Vikings loss. And it was 10 season. That one hurts, guys.
Unfortunately, it was the Vikings loss. Before we start getting into the NFL, guys, and I'm going to put up the graphic because we're going to start getting into the NFL, but we had a question earlier that I do want to ask Jammer about, so I'm going to go up and find it here. From Hottie Toddy, Jammer, thoughts on always being a terrible football team and never having a top draft pick? Do you wish the team would tank? What is your ideal situation for the Steelers? Maybe not this year, but what's the 2-year plan? How do you guys get back to being a Super Bowl caliber team?
Oh man, like, am I just supposed to pretend that mediocre Mike getting this 500 record every single season? Am I just supposed to be happy with that? Are we supposed to throw a parade in Pittsburgh every single year for Mike Tomlin to go above 500? No. We don't like that. We aren't a mediocre team. We need some kind of change. And I don't know if it's Mike Tomlin. I don't know if it's the coordinators. But this guy has no coaching tree. I don't know if he just purposely does that so he has someone he can throw under the bus whenever, things go to shit in the playoffs. But for me, I've been anti-Mike Tomlin for multiple years now. It's probably gone 4 or 5 years on Twitter where I've just been bashing him because he looks like he takes a sedative on the sideline. He's just standing there with his hands in his pockets. He's got his glasses on. He's got no emotion. Pittsburgh needs a coach like Bill Cowher. He's got that growl. He's yelling at the players on the sidelines to get locked in. I know he's a great locker room guy and the players like to play for him, but you need to have a coach who makes in-game adjustments. I see the comments saying that we do need a quarterback. Quarterback would be great. I would love to see the Steelers sign back Justin Fields and maybe develop a team around him because right now we're seeing in the playoffs, it's the mobile quarterback era. Russell Wilson, he was trying to get active there at the end of the season, but those 40-year-old legs, man, they can only move so much.
Yep.
So for me, I don't know if it's a coaching change. I don't know if it's going to be developing a young quarterback like Justin Fields who can be mobile, extend the drives with his legs and his arms, but I'm over mediocre, Mike. I need to see something new in Pittsburgh. And if it's an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, because we've seen the defense less sacks every single season for the last 4 seasons with Terrell Austin. Arthur Smith was not really doing it towards the end of the season. It seems like him and Russell Wilson were going at it, apparently. A lot of things going on in that locker room that Mike Tomlin usually has on lock. But for me, I think it's got to start with a quarterback, and I would love to see Justin Fields come back and develop a team around him.
Absolutely. And I think we said it all year on the show as well. I know every time we had you on, me and you would personally talk about this, where I thought Justin Fields was the best quarterback option for the team all season long. I didn't think that Russell Wilson's dynamic really helped the team move. I thought that alleviating some of the offensive line issues for the Steelers would have worked if you had a guy like Justin Fields who could scramble, extend plays, and keep drives going. And I thought Russell Wilson was the opposite of that. So I agree with you. I think Justin Fields would be a good plan and see what he's like for a full year, knowing he's the starter and put pieces around him that he will do well with. How do you guys feel about that? JD, do you agree? Any other takes on the Steelers? Or we all know how you feel about the Steelers already.
I was about to say, I think everybody really knows. As far as actually Tomlin goes, I think his time is up. He's been like actually Jeremy said, he's been doing the same thing year after year now. And it's just time for actually to make a change there. So
yeah, no, I kind of feel the opposite. I'm going to be honest. Try being a New York fucking Giants fan, where every year we're picking 1 through 10. We mess up every pick, and we're awful. Have the most losses in the NFL over the last 15 years. So give me Mike Tomlin. I'll be a trade team every year.
We'll trade him to you.
Absolutely love that. You can take Brian Dable. You can take all the crap the
we don't want
have in the front office, all that, and just give us a team that makes the playoffs every year. At least you guys have hope, because a lot of the teams do not make the playoffs as frequently as the Steelers. So I know it's not great in Steeler land right now, but come on, the Steelers have been a fantastic organization for 50 years. It seems like, they're never really out of it. They always have a chance to make a run. So I don't think it's as bad as some Steelers fans may think, because they've had it pretty good there for a while, to be honest. But I do think they need some improvements. I think you need some stronger coordinators, and I think you need to make better decisions on who the roster is. So more to come on the Steelers. I'm sure we'll have more talks with Jammer about that as we go on throughout the offseason as well. But fellas, I think it's about that time we start breaking down the games and we get into the first divisional game of the weekend. You fellas ready?
Let's do it.
We're ready. Did the NFL graphic before the question, so we're ready to dive right in. First game we're going to be breaking down is going to be the first game of the weekend. It is the 4:30 Saturday AFC divisional game between the 10-7 Houston Texans and the 15-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Everyone knows the storylines here. This is the Chiefs' first playoff game of the year. They've been fantastic all year long, won the first seed. And on the other side, the Texans had a very impressive win as an underdog hosting the Chargers last week, 32-12. Jammer, let's start with you. What do you like in the first playoff game of the weekend?
I don't know if I'm going to be alone here, but I'm sick and tired of seeing the Chiefs in the playoffs, but I don't know if it's going to be the Texans. I'll be the first to admit I was big on the Chargers last week. Wasn't part of one of my best bets. I had Herbert passing yards, and he got that, thankfully, to all pretty much to Lad McConkey. Shout out him. Yeah. But they played well last week. I was very anti CJ Stroud. I see he's got 282 yards, a passing touchdown, a lot of those to Nico Collins. Joe Mixon killed it on the ground, over 100 yards and a touchdown. But I don't know if he's going to do that again this week. We saw him get a little injury in that game. He's been limited in practice this week. And for me, that's where I'm starting. I'm starting right on the ground. This Chiefs defense, it is very good. And the Chargers defense last week was supposed to be able to stop this Texans offense, but they could not stop anything, giving up, 32 points to the Houston Texans?
Yep.
And it's not going to be any easier in Kansas City on the road. They had the they had the home game last week, but going into Kansas City, especially off a bye for them, we all know how Andy Reid does with that. And what they're going to do is they're going to try and shut down what the Texans do or did well on the season, and that's run the ball. With a banged-up running back like Joe Mixon, they're going to try and force this game to go into C.J. Stroud's hands. So first play for me on the week, it's going to be Joe Mixon under 57.5 rushing yards.
Wow.
Over the season, Kansas City was the 8th-ranked rush defense. Chargers were right around that number, and they couldn't stop them. But this week, you got a banged-up Joe Mixon, limited in practice. I don't even think he practiced yesterday. I know he's been limited throughout the week. So he's banged up. He had over 100 yards last week, but towards the end of the season, they were struggling to run the ball. Last couple of weeks, he only had 23, 57, 26, and 23. But coming out of that game with a small ankle injury, that's not going to be a good thing heading into this game versus Kansas City, especially if they're trying to shut down the run game and forcing this game into C.J. Stroud's hands. So for me, I think that's a strong play on Joe Mixon under. And the next one, this guy, Hollywood Brown, he came back at the end of the season. He was injured early on, but he came out hot towards the end of the season. He's now fully healthy. And what he's done in his career, he's performed in the playoffs. 3 playoff appearances, all with the Ravens, obviously. He finished 3 games, 87 yards, 109, 126, all with a quarterback who supposedly can't throw the ball. But now he's got an all-pro quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. So I'm loving him over 42.5 receiving yards. He finished his last 2 games that he played with 45 and 46. And it seems like he's locked in and primed for the playoffs, especially whenever you're going to see the Texans probably try and shut down Travis Kelce. Patrick Mahomes obviously has other guys on the team, but this guy, I think he's this is what they brought him in for. They brought him in to perform in the playoffs. So I'm liking Joe Mixon under rushing and Hollywood Brown over receiving.
Excellent. We absolutely love to hear that. And guys, little breaking news for this game that just came out from Jeremy Fowler. Chiefs are planning to start Joe Thuney at left tackle Saturday versus the Texans. Per sources, DJ Humphries is healthy, but Thuney, a Pro Bowl guard, flourished in the tackle relief while Humphries was out. So the Chiefs are preparing to ride the hot hand. So breaking news, Joe Thuney will be at left tackle for tomorrow's game. Did want to get that in there as well. Another piece, I'll break that news when we get to the next one. I have a little bit of injury news on the Ravens side that's pretty impactful. But one question I have for you, Jammer. Do you take the weather into account when capping this game? So right now, I'm saying it's going to be 21 degrees at game time. It's outside in Arrowhead. Well, the Texans are a dome team. They play in the dome. They don't have to deal with these conditions. Do you think that's going to be a major player in this game? Because 21 degrees is brutal if you're not used to playing in these kind of temperatures.
Oh, 100%. I've looked at all the weather for these games, and there's a game that we're going to be talking about later that I think is going to have an even bigger impact. But for this one, CJ Stroud's used to the weather. I don't know how the rest of the team. I mean, obviously Joe Mixon played in Cincinnati. He can do that. But, I think it's just a huge advantage for Kansas City coming off their, playoff bye. We all know how Andy Reid does after a bye. He's almost unbeatable, it seems. But I think it's going to be tough for a young team, especially, like you said, a team that plays usually in the dome. They're not used to the cold weather. So this is a huge home field advantage for Kansas City. Yeah. See that 62 degrees in Houston. You can't even practice for that. You almost have to show up early to, kind of get yourself acclimated to that weather. Not everyone's built for it,
100% agree with you. I mean, you take a look at their most recent games as well. A lot of their games have been home. They had one game in January against Tennessee, but they did play a late December game, remember, on 12/21 in Kansas City. Guys, we saw that game end by 8 points, 27-19 for the Chiefs. So I do want to put that in everybody's brain that they have played somewhat recently. I'll go into my picks next for this game. I'm on the Chiefs here on the spread, -8.5. I do think the Chiefs will have a big performance, and I think the weather is going to play a major factor in this game. If we didn't see the Texans have an absolutely fantastic performance in week one, I think this line would be even longer, or in week one in the wild card round. But I think this line would be even larger, and I do think we will see a big performance here from the Chiefs. One prop I absolutely love in this game. I want to bring this up here because Edgar has a fantastic question. What's our input on Pacheco? You think him and Hopkins go off? On one of my article plays this week, I do have Pacheco over rushing and receiving. Let me get the current line for you here because the game script of this game, I do think the Chiefs are going to go up early here. I think very quickly they will get a lead, and they will try and keep the ball, run the ball, and do things that they've done all year long while they had the lead. So right now, rushing and receiving for Pacheco is at 50.5 yards. I'm definitely taking that because he could take a screen for 50 yards on just one play. He could bust through the seams on a run for a big gain. I think Pacheco will get over that 50.5 rushing and receiving, and that is going to be an official play from me on that one. JD, first breakdown of this week. What do you got?
Yeah, man. Is actually like as far as this Houston team goes, we actually backed them last week, and we said the number was just off. And we came here and talked like a lot about that game because to me that number just seemed so off. But Houston just wasn't a team that I wanted to like back though. But actually we did, and that ended up being an easy win. But this week I do have to say the number looks about on, man, and that's kind of weird because we know the Chiefs have been winning, but they've been winning they've been winning but barely.
Yep.
So with actually laying like this many points, it seems weird to me though. The line it actually does seem right though. For me, this is a game I'm really waiting to see how the Chiefs look because there's been so much talk throughout the year about how the Chiefs have just done what needed to be done to actually win, and they haven't really actually turned it on yet. I'm actually going to sit back and see if they can, actually to see if that's the real thing here, because I'm not sure that they are that team. They actually are a very good team, but I don't think they are like they have been though, and I just really don't think they're going to have that switch where they just come in and blow like everybody out here. So for me, this is a lot. I'm definitely going to watch this game. There's actually just definitely a lot to see here. Something I am going to take a small shot at with, though, is the first half over. Now, as far as this game scoring-wise, I actually don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but they have as far as the key numbers, we all know. As far as the first half, I mean, actually 21 is very key, and you can get this total under that. So being able to get it under that, to me, it's just a play I have to make. It's actually not going to be anything big. But actually, that is going to be my play here.
J-Bo in the comments per usual. He knows how JD likes to break it down, but don't worry, JD's going to give you something on the total and find you some kind of value on a play like that. David, we do see your comment here. I promise you we will have the entire show on Monday to break down the Ohio State game. We appreciate you, but remember, we will be back on Monday to break that down, so we're not going to be touching it today. J-Bo had another question, guys. He has a 7-point teaser. He did it at the beginning of the week. Chiefs -1, Lions -1.5 at -135. What do we think about that teaser before we go over to Ben?
Great.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
You feel
I'm
like
sick and tired of seeing the Chiefs win. So
yeah, it's hard.
I'm
It's hard to
anti.
see it losing. Too many.
There we go. Well, very short answers there, but people on the panel seem to like that teaser for you, J-Bo. Ben, over to you. What do you got?
Last week, when the Texans were playing the Chargers, and we came into this and ended up taking the Texans on the show, they won. My main point was this Texans defensive line. They arguably have the best edge set in the NFL. I mean, if you're not going to say it's the best, it's top 3 in the NFL. With you have Danielle Hunter on one side and Will Anderson on the other side. Danielle Hunter didn't even show up in the Chargers game, but they still had 4 sacks. You had QB hits all over the place. When they weren't sacking Herbert, they were getting to him a lot. Azeez Al-Shaair, linebacker, had 2 quarterback hits. Danielle Hunter had a quarterback hit. Will Anderson had 3 quarterback hits and a sack and a half. Mario Edwards, 2 quarterback hits. Like, they were just getting to Herbert all day long, exactly what I thought. And that leads me into my favorite play in this game, which has nothing to do with the side. I don't care who wins this game. But all that to say, my favorite play is Patrick Mahomes over 24.5 rushing yards. This is a spot I absolutely love for him. And I get that it's not a very popular play because he hasn't run that much this year. He's had games where he's hit this line, but he's actually gone under in more games this year. He didn't need to run this year. Like he never was in a position in a season where they lost one game. They went 16-1. He never was really in too many games except for maybe that Bills game where you would think, okay, this could be the game. That's a huge game. He has to run. But he hadn't been in that many spots this year. And now in the playoffs, he's hit this line in 9 of the last 16 playoff games. He's gotten super close. He's gotten just under 20 in 3 of those. He always runs more in the playoffs. You look at his playoff games, he has way more rushing attempts. They're way up in the playoffs. And now he's playing a Texans team who just 2 weeks ago, in a game they still won and he didn't necessarily need to run, he ran 5 times for 33 yards against this Texans team. 3 weeks ago, technically, because we had a bye week. But yeah, 3 weeks ago, he just played the same team and had 33 rushing yards in a game that he didn't really even need to run that much. But it's because the Texans put you in that position. They're one of the most successful defensive lines in the NFL because they are 15th in blitz rate. They don't bring the blitz that much, and yet they are 4th in sacks. That is a very, very good success rate for the defensive line, which means they're getting pressure, but they're still playing good coverage. They're not just sending blitzers up, letting guys open. So Patrick Mahomes will have to run in this game. I believe we will see, not vintage. We'll see primetime playoff Mahomes running the ball again, and he's going to clear 24.5 yards so easy.
I love that. And we've said that. We said that last week as well. When you get to the playoffs, these guys who run in the playoffs, who don't in the season, their totals will go over, such as a Mahomes. We may not see him attempt to go 25 rushing yards in a regular season because they're saving him for the playoffs. But how many times have we seen in the fourth quarter? It's a close game, and they do a deep route. All the receivers go down the field. Kelsey's sprinting down the field, and then you see Mahomes roll out and book it down the sideline and get a 35-yard run. We see it every year. In almost every playoff game, he has one of those moments where he just takes off with his feet. I absolutely love that play. Jammer.
Already went.
What do you think about the prop, though? What do you think about the prop of Mahomes rushing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's going to be under pressure, and that's what he does is he creates those, off-sketch kind of plays where, he's directing people down the field. He might even be directing them to give him a block. And then another thing is it seems like these defensive players are scared to hit him, so sometimes he's able to scurry down the sideline, dance on that line where the players are like, oh, am I supposed to hit him? Or is he going to go out of bounds? And then he just kind of stays dancing on that line, and then he just goes for 20, 30 yards. So I know Ben is all over these quarterback rush attempts, rushing yards. So usually whenever he's on a play like this, it's a sharp one. So I'm all over it with him.
Absolutely love it. All right, boys, you ready to dive into the second game that we're going to be breaking down today, which is going to be one of my favorites of the entire weekend. I'm excited for it. Guys, we're going to be breaking down the Commanders taking on the Lions. We all saw what the Commanders did in the first round. They advanced on the doink, a wonderful doink that took them past the Bucs, which I was very happy with because I was on the Commanders. So that was a good one for me. Lions, number 1 seed. We're going to see how they do in the playoffs. Now, the last time we saw the Lions, Unfortunately, hate to bring it up, Ben, but they did take out the Vikings 31-9 in a game that got them the bye. So that was a very big win there, and we saw what happened to the Vikings when they were not able to win that game. We're going to start with you, Ben. What do you think about the Commanders and Lions in this game, and do you have any props in this one as well?
This is one I actually do have a prop in, but I also have a side. I'll start with the prop, actually, and it's going to be on David Montgomery coming back. He practiced in full all week. We saw that his injury wasn't as bad as thought to be. We thought he was going to be out for the year. All of a sudden, he's practicing. Like, I feel great. He was running well before that Vikings game. Like, they were thinking about maybe even activating him. They made a great decision not to. They did not need him in that game. However, I do think that this is a great spot to back his rushing attempts, 10.5. He went under this line in the regular season 3 times when healthy, 3 times when healthy. He got injured in the Buffalo game, so it doesn't count. Only 3 times. And we've seen this split backfield. The Lions are going to run the ball. Like, as much as they have a great passing offense, like you look at all their great receivers and all that kind of stuff, they run the ball a lot. They are going to use Gibbs in this game. I'm not saying they're not going to use Gibbs at all, but they are 3rd in the NFL with 31 rushing attempts on average per game. You think Gibbs is going to get – I really don't think, because if you look at their 31 average, you would assume Gibbs is going to get, 18, 19 of those. And I still think Montgomery's going to get at least 13, 14 here. Like, this is a game where they should be up, they should be leading, and they should just go to their running backs. And David Montgomery actually has a unique opportunity here because he's gotten some extended rest. I know it's not great because he's coming off an injury, but you got to think the dude hasn't played in over a month now, while they just gave Gibbs over 20 carries in 3 straight games. So they've been using Gibbs a lot. I really think they're going to go back to the Montgomery thing with him being healthy. They said he looked great in practice, and I believe him because he's been practicing all week. I think he gets over 10.5. And then I also do think the Commanders actually do cover in this game. I think Jane Daniels with his legs scores. I think they keep up. It's not that I think they're going to win, but you're talking about 9.5 points against a very porous defense that Jane Daniels can absolutely exploit. We've seen Terry McLaurin blow up now. Jane Daniels can use his legs to extend drives. I think they're going to score. I think it probably goes over 2, but it's a very, very high total at 55.5. That's a little bit scary. But I could easily see this being like a 31-24 game. Like, that just seems kind of right to me. Like, maybe the Lions score more than 31, but it feels like a game that's not going to get too blowoutish, just because I believe that the Commanders can score enough to keep it within 10.
Yeah, I agree exactly what you are, and I'm going to pull it up here. David, I do see your comment. I have it currently up on FanDuel. It is at 9.5 at -110 right now, so the line has shifted to 9.5. I am all over the Commanders in this spot. The Lions' defense is susceptible right now to giving up points. We all know that. With all that being said, the Lions are going to win this ball game. I have no doubt that the Lions advance out of this round. However, 9.5 is a lot of points in an NFL playoff game. Yeah. Jaden Daniels is the real deal. He will be able to move the ball on this Lions defense, and I do think they will be able to put up points here. So for me, I definitely think the Commanders are the right play here. It is one of my favorite plays of the entire weekend. I locked this in on Monday at 9.5. I'm sticking with that when the lines came out, and I really do think the Commanders will fight in this game. One of the player props I love on this game as well is going to be Jaden Daniels over 234.5 passing yards in this one. I think he will have to replicate what he did against the Bucs, where he threw for 270 last week. And with this one, it's an even higher projected total. We're expected to see more offense here, and I think Jaden Daniels soars over that 234.5 passing yards. And I do think the Commanders cover that 9.5 point line. It's definitely going to be a best bet for me, and I'm definitely going to have multiple units on both plays here. Edgar, that's a great point down there as well. I do think that Scary Terry and Amon-Ra are going to go off. I don't think either defense can stop the other team. That's what I think this game's going to play out. I do think the Lions will have 1 or 2 more stops over the Commanders, but I don't think that's going to lead to a 10-point victory for the Lions. So give me the Commanders and give me the prop of Jaden Daniels over 234.5. Jammer, do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think about this game?
I completely agree with you on the Jaden Daniels because we see the spread, we see the total. It's going to be a high-scoring game. As we all know, me and JD love those Lions team totals, but this week I think it's a layoff here. 32.5 the Lions are sitting at with a team total. So we know that they're going to score, and what that's going to do is that's going to put the Commanders in a position where they're going to have to keep up with this Lions team scoring the ball. So they're going to have to be playing from behind. They're going to have to keep up with the scoring. They're going to have to pass the ball. And all season long, we've talked about how decimated this Lions defense has been, especially in their secondary. And the pass defense is where they've been struggling, especially because, like I said, they've been forcing the opposing team to keep up with that high-scoring offense. And I'm building off what Alpha just said, but I'm taking it a little different way. I'm going to be taking Jaden Daniels over 294.5 passing and rushing yards, because I think that with the pressure that this Lions defense is going to be putting on him, he's going to have those running lanes. And what he does is he does that Patrick Mahomes type deal where he's directing the players down the field. He's kind of creating off sketch plays. He can get a lot of rushing yards. We've seen this era of mobile quarterbacks, and he's like the brand new one to the league. And he really took the league by storm, especially in fantasy football. I know all the people who had him probably ended up making the playoffs, maybe even the championship game. And I think the final championship week, he had 5 passing touchdowns. Like, this guy's not only a passing quarterback, he can run the ball really, really well. And the team goes as far as he goes. So I'm loving his passing and rushing. I think he could do it just strictly passing, but taking a play out of Ben's book as well with taking the rushing prop with the quarterback. So I can't really take a spread here because the 9.5 is just so scary in the playoffs. I know they're at home, and the Commanders obviously have a very young team, but their rushing game is really nothing to write home about. So I think that this all relies on Jaden Daniels and what he can do to kind of direct that offense down the field. So I think he's the biggest factor in the game. As for anything else, I got a couple touchdown props. I'm loving Terry McLaurin anytime touchdown. Like I said, man, the Washington run game, nothing really positive to say about them. Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler, they're big names, but they really haven't been getting it done towards the end of the season. So the second that Washington gets down to the red zone, I'm fully expecting some off-script plays where, Jaden Daniels is breaking out of the pocket and he's redirecting, and he's going to look for his favorite target, and his favorite target is going to be Terry McLaurin. So I'm liking him anytime touchdown, plus 130, depending on the book, but that's what I'm seeing right now. And on the other side of the ball, Sam Laporta. I'm liking Sam Laporta anytime touchdown. You can get that around plus 150. Look, whenever the Lions get down to the red zone, we know that they love to just run that ball down the defense's throat. And if I'm Washington, I am completely selling out the defense to shut down that run game, because David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, the second they get in there, it's almost like guaranteed that they're just going to run the ball right down the middle and force you to stop it. So we all know Dan Campbell likes to get creative. So I'm fully expecting them to do some play action, some kind of crazy motions to, let Sam Laporta break out and get wide open. Because if I'm watching, I'm shutting down that run game. I'm not letting them run the ball down our throats. So I'm liking to see him kind of sneak out there and get a anytime touchdown. We all know it's going to be a shootout, so there should be plenty of opportunities. So I'm liking those two guys to get in the end zone this week.
I like both of them. I did an article on this game. Both of them I do have scoring for the exact same reasons you do, especially Laporta. I think that we're going to see a Dan Campbell play action where the Commanders, almost called them the R team name, where the Commanders are pressuring and they bite on the play action and they're able to find Laporta in the end zone. I think he's going to be an absolutely massive red zone weapon for them. One thing before we go to JD, I do want to bring up what's going on in the comments right now. Guys, if you have any plays you want to talk about, our regulars who are here all the time, Joe, Jabo, they're in there throwing out their favorite plays. They're talking about team totals. They're talking about how they feel about it, asking in the comments. Put in anything you guys want. This show is interactive. We want to have fun with you guys. Any questions you have, please put them in there because this show is for you. We want to answer any questions you have and be able to give you the best kind of content that you guys want. So drop your plays. We'll go over what we think. Drop your props. Ask your questions. One more prop before I go to JD that I want to ask you about, Jammer, because we seem very similar on this. And by the time I go to JD, you guys will realize why I'm stalling going to him, because I'm trying to convince them before JD goes on the other side. But what do you think about Dynami Brown? I know I butchered his name there. Dynami Brown scoring a touchdown after last week. He was fantastic. He's plus 400. Do you think he's going to be able to? And Edgar Santiago, one of our guys as well, always giving plays. We appreciate you, Edgar. But Jammer, what do you think about Dynami Brown? Do you think he could get in at a plus 400 value? He had such a big week one or wild card weekend performance.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the total's high. There's going to be plenty of opportunities, and for these young guys, I mean, what we've seen is this Lions secondary is very susceptible to passing yards, and they're very susceptible inside the red zone. So, there goes the TV. So,
I hate my neighbors. Can I just tell you how ridiculous it is that my neighbors have to keep Bluetoothing to my TV every effing day? Figure it out.
But yeah, I mean, he would be the next guy that I would probably look for outside of Scary Terry because, like I said, I'm not big on the Commanders' rushing attack. Obviously, Austin Eckler, veteran guy, Brian Robinson, young guy who's got a strong running attack up the middle. But I think you got to look at the passing because they're going to be playing from behind. So, young guy like that at a good value, plus 400, I like it.
Maybe worth a unit. All right, JD. You don't have the Lions hat on yet. We usually see that nice beanie you wear where you look so good in it, and you tell us how great the team total is going to be. I'm hoping you're on a team total and don't call us morons for being on the Commanders. What do you got?
Man, like after hearing y'all go, I have so much to say, and I like don't even know where to start here.
I figured you would.
First off, yep.
Oh.
You know it. Where to start here? All right. As far as last week's game, as far as the Bucks, I was on them, and I thought that they were going to win that game, and actually they did not. But seeing Washington win that game actually made me happy though, because the Lions matchup versus them, this is like a dream. It like truly is. The Washington defense is not set up to stop this Lions offense in no way. Because you can, yes, as far as the Washington actually like run actually defense goes, they are not good. So actually, like y'all said, all right, well, let's like load up and actually try to stop that. Well, that's not going to work because they can pass it to 3 or 4 different guys and just keep killing you actually like down the field.
Yeah.
I just don't think Washington they have any real way of stopping them. That's actually why they're actually team total, like Jammer said, is so high. And you know, I'm actually not playing over those just because, yes, for an actual playoff game, those numbers are crazy.
They're high.
But still, I mean, like I definitely wouldn't play under them.
It'd be scary play.
Yeah. But you know, like. Yeah, like just the Lions offense here, I think is just going to absolutely feast. And as far as their defense goes, yes, I mean, like even I may have, you know, as far as Lions defense goes, they have not been good. They've been so hurt, but they are starting to get guys back. And actually not last week, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now, you actually started to see that. And just the way that they're starting to play now. And I just trust them to get more stops. Also, Commanders, 4th down. They love to go for it also on actually 4th downs.
Yep.
And they know that they're going to have to go for them here to be able to actually like keep up. Mm-hmm. Well, I believe the Commanders also on 4th downs, I think they convert those actually most of anybody in the actual league. Yep. It's some crazy number. Like the percentage
really good at 4th down
is actually like 87 per like cent. And that's not a number I don't think you can keep up with. And in this game, I think they're going to have to go for a lot of 4th downs. And I think the Lions are going to be able to come up with a few actual like stops there. You know, to me, is as far as actually full game, the number is pretty big. That's about actually where I make the game though. I'm actually going to go first half here. You can actually like 6 there, and I really think the Lions jump out here because also the Commanders are coming in to an actual indoor game now, so the noise level is going to be that much more. I'm telling you, these Lions fans are, to be quite honest with you, they're fucking nuts.
You would know. You would know.
They are like that place is going to be going absolutely crazy. And I just think that the Lions are going to be able to jump out here. So, give me Lions on the first half. Give me them at actually -6.
Not letting you off the hook quite yet, JD. You're not off the hook yet. What do you think? Great question from Jess, who's here almost every day. We appreciate you, Jess. What do we think about Jamison Williams over? So while you were giving your play, I did bring up the current line. It's at 56.5. And sounds nice to me. I wouldn't mind a flyer on 56.5 for a guy who's the deep ball, long ball threat of that team. What do you think?
I was about to say, yeah, that other definitely makes a lot of sense. That's like one of those, because of what you just said, that would actually be more of actually like an alt line. I would actually take that up more.
Me too.
So yeah.
Yeah, if I were to play it, I'd probably add a touchdown on it and bring it up a little bit just to have a little bit of fun in the playoffs with some props. But I do think that standard line of 56.5 definitely has some value. Joe, I agree. Joe's saying anytime he sees Jameson under 60, it's an automatic play. He's just the guy who could have one catch for 75 yards and a touchdown. He's the only one on that team who you could really say that about. He's the guy with the elite speed who can get down the field, and he runs those deep routes better than a lot of guys in the NFL. So I definitely don't hate that play at all. Good find there, Jess. Any of the two gentlemen below us, do you agree? And he takes on the Jameson Williams prop.
So I'm a longest reception guy, so I would probably take that over
like
24.5 long reception for Jameson. I mean, that almost seems automatic, as Joe would say. I love those moon balls, man. Throw it up to him. He's gonna be behind. He's gonna be behind that corner or safety, whoever's covering him. Nobody can keep up with him.
Yeah, I agree with how Jammer played it. I would say the same thing. Longest reception. You already brought up the deep routes. Joel was saying it. Yards after catch or deep routes. I agree with that more than because you got to think. I think they're going to run the ball a lot, and you got to think they're going to go to Laporta and St. Brown as well. His target share, like he might hit one or two or like one deep shot, but will he get multiple to cash the over? I like the longest reception a little bit more.
There we go. All right, boys. We're halfway through the games. We've made it through Saturday, but we still have Sunday's games to get through. However, I will say that Commanders-Lions game, to me, is my favorite game on the entire weekend. I know there's a closer line, and everyone's talking about this.
Oh.
Hi.
So I'm listening from the kitchen. Hey, everybody. And I was just wondering why we think Lions fans are fucking crazy.
That's not an us question. We didn't say that. That's going to be a question.
But you agreed to it. So,
well, yeah, I did agree.
Why are Lions fans crazy?
I plead the fifth. I don't feel like going to jail, and I appreciate being the host of the show.
Example number one. Right?
Yeah.
So I'll say something. They just haven't had a lot to be. They haven't had a lot to root for, so they kind of deserve to be crazy right now. So
that's a way more recoverable answer.
JD did.
JD said it. JD's the one in trouble here. As long as we were not the ones who said it.
Yeah, none of us are in trouble.
Lions have gone through a lot of shit.
Craziest fans out there, and I do feel bad for the fact that Washington just has to listen to them.
I concur
For
with that.
no other reason than that, because they're loud as fuck.
I don't think they're as bad as Eagles fans, at least. I don't think they're that bad.
I think you're correct. But that was all.
That's a different type of crazy.
Confirm that you've all lost your mind, and Lions fans are actually the best fans. Okay, bye.
Good luck this weekend, Shelby. You guys are going to win.
Good luck. Let's go, Commanders.
From what Detroit's went through, whatever they went through, like they deserve to do whatever they're doing now. So
they do. They absolutely do. Those fans deserve to see a nice deep run. We all do. And I think everyone enjoys seeing the Lions do well because we all grew up with them being so bad. How can you hate them? Genuinely. Like, I hated the Cowboys. They were always good in the 90s growing up. There's a lot of teams you didn't like, but it was hard to hate the Lions when you beat up on them like 50-0 every time you played them. So good for them. Hope they continue to have some success, except not win this game by 10 points. Let's keep it moving, fellas. We're going to Sunday. We're going to the Rams. They're taking on the Eagles. The Rams are coming in 10-7. They're 5-3 on the road. They just had a very impressive win last weekend over the Minnesota Benz. Eagles on the other side have been fantastic as well. Well, not really, to be honest with you. Their defense played well, but Jalen Hurts had a pretty iffy first-round game there. Jammer, we're going to start with you. What do you like in the Rams-Eagles first Sunday game? And we're getting into the NFC action. Jammer. Can you hear me?
Jammer went MIA.
I don't think Jammer hears me.
We were talking about, yep. There's a little laggy there for me, but
sorry.
No, I'm here. I was just a little laggy there for me, but we were talking about weather earlier in the show, and this is the game that I'm worried about the weather the most. We talk about Rams. They play out in LA, obviously. They don't get to play outdoor games a lot. I think they had maybe 1 or 2 games that were, cold. But this week in Philly, it's going to be cold. It's going to be low 30s, high 20 degrees. And this is a team that I just don't know if they're ready to play in this cold weather. So I've all season said that this Eagles team might be the best team in the NFC, might even be the best team in the entire NFL. They have one of the best running attacks. They got some freak athletes at the receiver position. You know, you got A.J. Brown reading books on the sidelines. He's just so unbothered by what's going on the field. So this week I could see the Rams trying to completely sell out and shut down the run game, which is going to put a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts. But I think that he is just completely built for the playoffs. Like we've been saying all show, it's the era of the mobile quarterback, and he is probably one of the quintessential guys in the NFL at doing that outside of Lamar Jackson. We saw the Rams defense last week get pressure on Sam Darnold. They ended the game with 9 sacks. But I do think that this Eagles offensive line is better. They're one of the better offensive lines in the league. And Jalen Hurts, he's built to avoid those rushers and being able to create plays with his legs. So I'm liking Philly on the spread here. It's the first spread I'm actually going to take. I like Philly -6, 6.5, whatever you want to take it at. And building off all those great, wonderful things I had to say about Philly, I think they absolutely are going to dominate time of possession. And their defense is just about as dominant as any team in the league, leading in many categories, and they're top 10 in just about every other category you can think of. And another thing for the Rams, though, they struggle once they get to the red zone with the 25th ranked red zone offense going up the 5th ranked red zone defense in Philly. So I'm going to be all over this Rams team total under 18.5. Like I said before, this Rams team has not had many opportunities to play outdoors in the cold environment. Obviously, Matthew Stafford played in Detroit, but that's an indoor stadium. He probably paid some kid to shovel his driveway. He's not built for this weather. So I don't know how much scoring they're going to get done. And just one other play that's just kind of like a for fun play. I need me some Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown. But we spoke about it earlier. It's -170. So either you're going to use that as a parlay piece, or for me, I'm going to get a little bit more frisky with it. I'm going to take a Saquon Barkley anytime first half touchdown at +155. I think he's going to get in. He hasn't scored in the last couple of weeks. He's been one of the hottest touchdown props. He could have scored last week, but he took that little dive. Everyone was mad about that on Twitter, X,
which was ridiculous. It was the absolute right decision. Win the game, go
down.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, they show the little clip of just nobody anywhere near him. He's taking the slide. Just end the game. You know, you don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to give the other team any kind of chance, and even if it's a 1% chance, you don't give it to them. You just end the game.
You go down there, you have a 100% chance to win the game. 100% chance to win the game is something I'd like to do if I was on that team. So
Yeah. So just to get a little fun in, we're going to take Saquon Barkley anytime first half touchdown. You could do the parlay if you want to do Saquon anytime touchdown and maybe pair with one of those other first teams that we talked about. But I'm liking the Eagles to win this game. I think it's just the home field advantage, the weather, just them being all around better than the Rams. So that's all I
have
got
a question for you. I have a question for you. You said that, you believe in Jalen Hurts. He's going to be a good-time playoff quarterback. He was crap last week. I mean, he had 130 passing yards. The offense was not moving fluently. He did have 2 touchdowns to no interceptions, so that he did well. But is anybody fearing this Eagles offense after last week's performance? Is it just me who thinks that the Eagles were a little lackluster, where maybe Green Bay should have won that game if Jordan Love didn't have some of the worst interceptions I've ever seen? The Green Bay defense kept them in that game all game long. And to me, I wasn't super impressed with the Eagles. Does anyone feel the same way? Ben, how do you feel about that? After watching them in the first game, were you more a believer in the Eagles or more of a doubter of the Eagles after that performance?
Yeah, I mean, I think you get 4 turnovers. You expect to win a game every time, and they won by 12. So they should have won by more, for sure. You got to think, like, the defense is absolutely keeping you in it the whole time for the Packers, and they just couldn't get it done. Like you said, like, Jordan Love just looked so bad. And, I just think it comes down to, I don't know how well they really had to play. Like, I get you want to see a better win. You want to see Jalen Hurts maybe pass a little bit more, But like you said, he stayed away from mistakes. The Eagles didn't have a turnover. He threw for 2 touchdowns without throwing a pick, which for him has been kind of the theme for Jalen Hurts, because that dude's thrown 1 pick since week 4 of the NFL. 1 interception. He has stayed so well just taking care of the ball and doing exactly what they need to. Hand off to Saquon Barkley, do the tush pushes on 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2, or, just go into A.J. Brown. It's just they're doing what they need to, and they make it look so effortless that I think we're taking away from the fact that they didn't win by more, instead of just saying they won game by 12. And it wasn't really – it was close, but it never really felt that close of a game because Jordan Love, the Packers just weren't getting it done. Maybe the Eagles could do that, but to Jammer's credit, they're going to have bad weather here. These guys played, in mid-November, and Saquon Barkley had the best game of his career with 255 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 72-yard rush. So I don't know what the Rams have to do something different here in this game. And I think that's going to be selling out on Saquon Barkley, especially if the weather's bad, like Jammer said. I think they're going to absolutely sell out on Saquon Barkley, which actually brings my favorite play to Jalen Hurts, over 203.5 passing yards. I understand that's going to be a very questionable play to a lot of people, but you didn't have to pass in the regular season. How many games, meaningless games against the Panthers, really bad teams, Dallas, Jacksonville, sure, he didn't go over in those games. He didn't need to. You hand the ball off to Saquon 30 times, boom, you're good. The Rams looked so good last week, and I think they're going to really try and sell out and stack the box and stop the run, and they're going to put it into Jalen Hurts' hands. And he hasn't been making mistakes this year, so I think they're going to actually let him pass in this game. You have Devontae Smith, you have A.J. Brown, you have the receivers you can. Dallas Goedert's banged up. I think he'll probably still play. So you have a mostly healthy receiving room. I really think this is a game where he does use his arm a little bit more. And 203.5 is a very, very low line for a quarterback. I understand we're talking about Jalen Hurts here, and he's gone under this line a lot this season. But this seems like a game where he'll go over against the Rams.
I respect that. JD, what do you think about this game?
No, this is a breakdown that I'm going to do, and it's going to be the first time that I've ever said this. But to just actually start off here, I have been on the Eagles this year so much, and actually so many different ways. Played them first half, played their team totals, full games. Anyway, been on them. But coming into this game, after especially what I saw this past week, I wanted to be on the Rams. I just like how they're going currently. I just like everything about them. Then breaking this game down, Philly, they have the advantages almost everywhere. This should be a Eagles game. And besides all that, I'm still afraid to play this game because as actually all of us here, we've been watching this league for a long time, and there's nothing more than the NFL would like to see than those Rams win.
I don't know. I
really do.
They don't have any fans. Nobody shows up to their home game. So to me, is Philly the more – I thought about this. Do you think they're really more polarizing and a bigger media story than the Eagles with Saquon and Sirianni and A.J.
Currently,
Brown?
yes.
I respect that.
Currently, yes. As far as the Rams, as far as their coach, I actually do think they have the way actually better coach here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just everything to me is leading me to this game is just to stay away. I'm actually just not going to get involved here.
I liked it better when you were starting with that you like the Rams because I am on the Rams in this spot plus the 6.5. I agree with you. The Eagles are the better team. That doesn't mean they're going to cover a 6.5 point playoff line. I do not believe in Jalen Hurts. I'm just going to be honest with everybody. I'm not a huge Jalen Hurts guy. I never have been. I don't think he's the greatest quarterback. I don't think he's the worst quarterback. I think he's a serviceable starting quarterback in the league. And these type of performances we saw last week was a very disappointing Jalen Hurts. And I think we could see a very similar game here. I think the Rams are going to do a good job blitzing. We saw them have a great formula against Ben's Vikings, and I think they're going to deploy that same exact formula in this game. I do believe in Sean McVay. I made the mistake last week of not believing in Sean McVay and leaning with Kevin O'Connell. I'm not going to do that again. Sean McVay proved a lot to me last week. He's a guy who's been there and done it before. Like I said, I'm not sure if the Rams win this game outright, but I think this one does come down to the wire. Maybe a 5-ish point final, maybe a 3 in that 3 to 5 point range. But I do think the Rams are the right side in this game. David, I know you're going to be pissed at me. You said you're going to Philly. We're a little opposite today, so hopefully I'm right and you're wrong. But I absolutely love the Rams in this spot, and I am going to be taking the Rams plus the 6.5 points. Everybody go on this game? Who are we forgetting?
Yep.
Any
we're
props? that we did not cover? I don't think we gave out many props in this game. I know Ben had a couple props, but does anybody else have any props before we move on to the final game of the divisional round? That's a negative.
The only thing I do have to say though, Alpha, is Jalen Hurts was coming off that concussion, so you gotta give him some time to recover.
I don't gotta do anything. I don't gotta do anything like that.
I'm just letting.
No, I understand that, but like I said, I don't believe in him when he's fully healthy anyway. I think Saquon carried this offense. I think Saquon's been the MVP of the NFL this season. I wish the MVP was not a quarterback award because I think Saquon was very deserving of the MVP. I think he is what carried that Eagles offense all year long, and I think he needs to be the focal point yet again. If it is going to be a game that the Eagles win by a lot, Saquon has to take over. I don't think it's a game that Jalen Hurts is going to dominate to get them to that point. So that's my take on that one.
Just something real quick. What do we think about Saquon's rushing prop? It is crazy high. 111.5, 112.5, depending on what you're looking at.
I think
in the playoffs, that is crazy.
I think he probably goes over with everything I said. I think they're going to have to force feed him the ball all game long. But yet again, doesn't mean they're going to cover just because he has that. So for me, I do like that over.
I think the Rams are going to absolutely sell out to stop him after the first game. That's how they lost the game. And that's exactly why I took my Hurts prop on the passing. I think they're going to he might get 25 attempts, but I still think he might go under just because they're going to have so many guys there. And I understand that Saquon Barkley is the guy that can break out all that, but
100%. JD, what do you think about the rushing prop? You don't have to take the over under on the firings. We already had one last weekend.
That number, I would just have to go under. I mean, actually, like unders are no fun to bet in props like that, but I mean, that number is once again, that's just crazy high.
It's been dropping all week. I saw it earlier at 115.5.
Yep, it has been going down. I think people have been hammering that under. I think it goes over, but that doesn't mean I'm going to bet it. It's one of those I'm definitely not going to bet, but I do think if gun to my head, I had to pick over or under, I'm taking over on that prop, but I'm not actually going to bet that. All right, boys, we got one game left, and I do have a little bit of injury news on this one. Ooh. So I think we all kind of knew the story when the Ravens picked up Deontay Johnson off waivers that they probably were not going to be able to have all their weapons in the receiving room, and I think that you guys could probably understand where I'm going to be going with this. Zay Flowers, full non-participant in practice today. What have we said on this show all season long? If they ain't practicing by the time we're on here every Friday, odds are 95% they're not going to go. I do not believe we will see Zay Flowers in this game. Maybe we'll see a little Deontay Johnson. Don't know why they would pick him up because he seems like he's an absolute disaster everywhere he goes. But I digress. Ben, let's start with you. Ravens-Bills, closest game of the weekend. Should be the best game out of all of them. What do you got?
Yeah, I think this comes down to who's been more of the big game team, the big game quarterback, and that has to be Josh Allen for me. In the playoffs, it seems like only Kansas City can beat him except for that year that Cincinnati won it all. But it seems like besides the Chiefs, they've just ran through everyone else in the playoffs, and Josh Allen hasn't had much kryptonite in the playoffs other than just the Chiefs. They're playing at home. This is a great spot for Josh Allen to prove that he's MVP. Now I understand it's a regular season award, but up in the odds, yep. Lamar, to me, they're a great team. They're number one rushing offense in the NFL. All that being said, I do just think this is a game where it's going to come down to which quarterback can make less mistakes, make more of those big plays, because we know we're going to probably get a big game from Derrick Henry, but can that be enough? Can just a Derrick Henry game be enough when you're facing the Bills on the road in this spot where they've looked so unstoppable in these big games this season? I understand that they already lost the Ravens once this year, but just in the playoffs, it's a little bit different atmosphere. It just has a different feeling. They're at home. They were on the road that time. I do think this is a game the Bills kind of get back on them for that game and do win here at home.
I love that out of you. I freaking love that out of you because I am all over the Buffalo Bills in this spot. Guys, they're projecting 13 degrees at kickoff on this game. In the swirling tundra of Buffalo, let me tell you something. That's one place and one temperature. I would not be wanting to play a football game. And I know that probably benefits Derrick Henry. Let's be real here. He's a small Mack truck. When he hits you and it's 5 degrees outside and you're frozen, that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. But at the end of the day, this Bills team, I really do feel like, is the team of destiny this year. They really feel like a team that really could go all the way. They've overcome a lot all season long. People didn't believe in the defense. They didn't believe in the offensive weapons. They had too many changes going around. The coach is terrible, and they called him a terrorist. A lot went on with this Bills team. They've overcome every single thing to where Josh Allen, to me, has been the best quarterback in the league this year. I know there's the big debate, Josh Allen or Lamar. I think Josh Allen is fantastic. I think he's one of, if not the best right now, and I do think the Bills are going to have an absolutely monster performance. I'm taking the Bills on the money line, and I do see them winning this one by over 3 points. I think the Bills are going to have a statement win here. Before we go to props, I'll kick it to Jammer. Jammer, what do you got?
So I hate to sound like a parrot here, but I'm with you guys on the Bills. Obviously, I have my AFC North bias here, but I'm right there with you. I think Josh Allen's been the best quarterback this season. And last week, what I was worried about the most outside of Derrick Henry was these tight ends for the Baltimore Ravens. They didn't get a lot of action just simply because of the gameplay that happened. But what we saw versus the Steelers last week was these Ravens were in a lot of third and short situations, even if they ever got to third down. So Lamar really didn't have to pass the ball a lot. So if the Bills are able to keep the Ravens from getting these long explosive plays from Derrick Henry and they can force them into these third and longs, I don't trust Lamar to get these conversions. I think that they are built for those third and shorts, getting to the red zone, using his legs to kind of create plays for the offense. But if they're able to force them into third and longs, like anything longer than 5 yards, I think this Bills defense could shut down the Ravens offense. So, and they do well against tight ends. They're just outside the top 10 in shutting down opposing tight ends. It was tough for me to pick this week which one of these tight ends I'm going to fade, and I think I'm going to go against Mark Andrews. So outside of the Bills money line, another play that I have is Mark Andrews under 38.5 receiving yards. I don't know if we'll see the Ravens run the ball as much as they did last week, but if they stick with that game plan and it's tough to throw in this cold weather, the swirling winds, like you said, in Buffalo, I could see Lamar kind of struggling. And if they can shut down his two weapons, since they're missing Zay Flowers, his top two weapons outside of Derrick Henry are Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. I think he might look for the younger, more athletic tight end, and Mark Andrews might be used more for blocking, chipping type deal. So those are the two plays I like.
We're not going to JD because I can already tell by his aura right now what he's going to say. So show is over. Thank you for everybody tuning in. JD, what do you got?
Well, yeah, actually, like Footy just said there, man. Like everybody's talking about the cold, and last time I checked, like the Ravens play in a really cold place.
It's
also
different. It's way different.
Last time I checked, Footy didn't even know what a football was. He still thought that was a soccer ball. So anything he's telling us about the NFL, let me get that out there.
The Buffalo cold is way different than the Baltimore cold. There's frozen tundra, and then it gets pretty cold. And living in Minnesota, I know all about that. It's way different when you get these negative wind chills and stuff. I get it gets cold on the East Coast where Baltimore is and everything too, but it's a little bit different when you get, especially into the games like these where you're going to see negative temperatures, negative wind chills. And I think Buffalo's a little more well handled to it. In fact, their fan base loves it. They eat it up. There's going to be people jumping on tables outside the game before the game starts. Yeah. It's a little bit different.
Trying my hardest because you're backing up my point here, not to say this, but just so you know, Buffalo is also on the East Coast. JD, what do you got?
It's not. It's higher up.
What? JD, please, for the love of God.
well, actually, I'm also on the East Coast, but
the East Coast is only. I digress.
Okay, let's get into this game, guys. This is the game of the week by far. We have the two best quarterbacks in the league, and I think both playing at actually their very best. Like, this is a treat. I mean, this is an absolute treat, guys. I mean, this is going to be such a good game. And with saying that, I really think that the run game, that it's going to come down to actually that here. The Bills, we've been seeing them, I've been so high on actually the Bills, and Cook has actually been running very, very well, and then actually that of course opens up everything else, and I've been so high on them. And then the Ravens, we all know about them. I mean actually their run game is so good. But then last week you saw an even better version of that run game, though, because they had so many actually like QB runs added in there. And to me, and that was the thing for that game, they didn't even have to actually do that. I mean, like they like had the game won. They didn't even really need to be doing those, but they still were. To me, I really think the difference here is the Ravens actually run D is very good. It's very stout, and I think they are going to be able to actually like slow down them there. And then on the other side, I just don't see how the Bills really slow the Ravens run game down much. And the Ravens are going to be able to use that to then actually just like run clock and just actually try to keep the Bills like off of the field there. So it really actually like as far as like over, like first I was thinking, okay, this is going to be an over game, easy one. But the more I really like looked into it more, I'm like, maybe not. Definitely. But yeah, guys, to me, I've been high on this Bills team. I've been saying it the entire year, but at the end of the day, I've also talked about I've been talking about this actually like Ravens team, and I'm higher on actually them. I've been talking about how they're just going to be getting better and better every single week, and then actually they're going to peak at just the right time, and it's looking like that is what's going to happen here. To me, this is a Ravens play. Give me the money line. This is going to be a big bet.
All right, so we have a little bit of different opinions on this one. We're clucking. I'll cluck the shit out of this game.
I'll cluck
you
it
ain't
too.
Want it. All right, so Jammer,
Lamar Jackson still has yet to make it out of it.
What is this, Jammer? What are we doing? Does that mean you're in or you're out? What is this?
We're already going on our little victory parade.
Are you
Bills money line?
All right, 3-on-1, JD. We can't wait to see that beautiful clock. And yes, I did just see the comments by Jim Harbaugh. He just did have a press conference, I believe, and he's saying, although Zay Flowers did not practice today, he has a good chance to potentially play in this game. What does that mean to me? He's not playing.
I actually think he is going to be out there, but to maybe just to take some actually like attention away from other people.
Yeah, I don't think I think that him saying that as well is to force them to prepare for him to potentially be playing. It's all mind games in the playoffs.
It's gamesmanship,
It's gamesmanship. Great way to put it. If you're not practicing on Friday of game week, you're not playing on Sunday. Period. If you're not good enough to move on side drills, he's doing zero work. It's not like he's doing limited action. He's doing nothing. He can't participate at all. So to me, he's not going to be able to play. Fellas, do we have any props on this game that we have not gone over? Did anyone have any additional props before we go into the last couple things that we have on this show? And by the way, we've been live for an hour and 15 minutes now. We have almost 2,000 people still here with us. We appreciate every single one of you for tuning into today's show. But does anyone have any other props you want to go over before we do the rest of the show?
Absolutely not.
Say absolutely not.
I've given out so many props today. I've given out like every prop I can think of.
True.
So now
I gave out the Derrick Henry 2 actually plus touchdowns last week, and actually that one hit. Trying to find the same line again here.
I gave you guys a touchdown prop in the Ravens game last week. A couple people have commented it in the chat so far. We did hit that Rashad Bateman. I believe it was a plus 180. I have another touchdown prop in this game we're going to be targeting, and it is going to be another long shot. And you know who it's going to be. Khalil Shakir, another plus 185, same range. He's going to find the end zone. So we'll recap that on Monday when we see a nice Khalil Shakir touchdown in this game. Jess likes Allen rushing yards. So are you speaking just the yards, not any touchdowns like that? What's Allen's yardage total here? Joe likes Justice Hill over 22.5 receiving. I don't mind that. He is good out of the backfield, the receiving. Let's see what Josh Allen's rushing yards is before we go into the new segment that we have on the show and going over best bets. So Josh Allen's rushing prop right now is 45.5. I would not touch it. I think it goes over, but 45.5 is a big number to bet on a quarterback. What do you guys think about that 45.5 number?
Yeah, it's a big number, but in the playoffs, I mean, it's not one that I was thinking about playing. But we've seen him now in the playoffs last few years. So in the first game against Denver, there was a blowout. He didn't really need to run. He still had 46, so he hit it. And then last year, He in both of his playoff games, he had 72 and 74 rushing yards. So if that's any indication, this guy loves to run in the playoffs. And, but I actually almost like the touchdown more. It seems like he runs more in the red zone. I don't know what it is, but it always feels like Josh Allen loves to just take off in the red zone. So if anything, I actually might place touchdown over his rushing yards.
I do as well. And then one final prop that's being dropped in by Footy Chancellor, Derrick Henry over 19 and a half rushing attempts. I do like that, so I don't mind that play at all. Well, fellas, you know what we do on the show. We have a new segment we're about to dive into. Me and my guy, JD, will break it down for the people out there. So, JD, let's tell everyone about our new sponsor, our new segment, Profit X, where we will be going over a play of the day every day for Profit X. And as you guys can see here, Profit X is the best exchange out there to get the best value on any play. As you guys know, it's me, Jammer, and Ben taking on JD head-to-head in the cluck bet of the universe this week. And you can see the odds here on both sides. I keep just trying to zoom in and know that's not going to help everyone, so I apologize. Bear with me. But if you guys can see here, you can get Baltimore on the money line at -106, and you can get Buffalo on the money line at +104. You're not going to get better odds than this out there. This exchange lets you go up and take the dollars that you can see underneath. JD, I'll let you break down what those dollars underneath each says. It looks like we just had an increase on the Buffalo +104. It looks like it just went up 500. What does that mean, and what can we tell the people?
Yeah, it looks like the Buffalo, they have a Buffalo price here at an actual +104. Looks like the best line I'm seeing anywhere else is actually a -102.
Yep.
So they basically have actually like $1,300 actually like available there. There's the number that you're actually seeing there.
Yep.
So like, but then if you go over to the +103 here, you have actually like 9,000 here.
Yep.
So actually like that's like still good. And then on the Ravens side there, you have an actually like -106. The best line I'm seeing anywhere else is looks like a -112.
Yep.
So this is a game where actually like we are all on actually like different sides here, and actually like you can still use this game and actually get a better number. Actually, like it doesn't even matter which side.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Well put, JD. Perfectly said. You guys can see you're going to get the better price on either side by signing up to Profit X. And how do you sign up for Profit X? What's the best way to go about it? Boom! Right here. Go to Profit X, promo code MBM, earn up to 2% back on every play for the first 30 days, up to $300 in profit cash, and it's a new sign-up offer. Enter code MBN. You guys will appreciate that you did. Profit X is fantastic, and we appreciate them sponsoring this new segment on the show. We'll be covering them every single day and doing our play of the day, so make sure you guys stay tuned and join us on Profit X. All right, fellas, there's a couple things left that we do on this show. Before we get into best bets, I do want to talk about the price reduction for MoneyBall metrics. Guys, get in the Discord. For January only right now, you will lock in your monthly rate at $47.95. Normal pricing is about 20% higher. So this will be your permanent price at MoneyBall metrics. Make sure you guys take advantage of the January price reduction. Get in the Discord. Have some fun with us. It is the greatest place to be in the sports gambling world. All right, fellas. We have one thing left on this show. Only one thing left that we do. And everybody out there knows what that is if you watch the show every day like our loyal viewers do. We're getting into our best bets of the NFL divisional round. We're going to start with Ben because I can see him fired up down there. Ben, how many do you have down there? Do you have 1? Do you have 2? Do you have 97? What do you have for the people?
I have 5 for you guys because I'm including the UFC one. I forgot about that one earlier.
Excellent.
Kevin Holland money line +110. We kicked it off over an hour ago to begin the show. That's plus money. I think people are putting way too much stock into the Ritter's stock. And going over to the NFL, had a little bit of a slip up there because I was looking at this Josh Allen play again. I might add Josh Allen, and it's not even on the graphic, but I'm actually really liking that touchdown. So I have 6 because I'm adding that. It's not going to be on the graphic. I love the Josh Allen touchdown line, as well as Bill's money line. I do think that he's just a better big game quarterback. We haven't seen Lamar Jackson get out past the second round of the NFL playoffs ever. I really think this is just a game where they show up a little bit better in the freezing cold temperatures. Commanders +9.5. I really think that they can just keep this one just close enough. +9.5 is a big number in the NFL playoffs. You got to think it could be a blowout. It could be a 15, 16-point game. One touchdown gives them that backdoor cover. That's a lot of points in a playoff game. Patrick Mahomes, over 24.5 rushing yards. Not only is this one of my best bets, it's actually the best bet. This is my favorite play of the entire weekend. That Texans defensive line, they absolutely get to the quarterback a lot. They have one of the best edge sets in the NFL with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter without blitzing. That's the big thing here because they're going to get to the quarterback without blitzing. There's not going to be as many guys open. I think Mahomes is going to have to roll out, use his legs. We see him use his legs a lot in the playoffs. Love that play the most this weekend. David Montgomery, over 10.5 carries. Love this spot for him coming off the injury. He hasn't played in a while now. I understand it's because of injury, but he's going to be fresh. They said he's completely healthy. He was even thinking about playing last game before this bye. I think that this is a spot where they're going to use him quite a bit. Split the backfield with Gibbs. Gibbs has been getting a lot of the carries, over 20 carries per game. I think that this is one where they split it a bit more and Montgomery sees at least 11 carries, and that will round out my best bets.
Absolutely love it. I'll jump in next because mine is not as crazy as yours. I'm on the Commanders, plus 9.5. The Buffalo JDs, the Bills, money line.
The Buffalo
And the LA JD Rams, plus 6.5. You got to get Commanders, plus 9.5. Bills, money line, and Rams, plus 6.5 are my big three for divisional weekend. Jammer, what do you got?
Not going as crazy as Ben, but I got one more than you, Alf. I got 4. We went 4-0 last week, and to try and repeat that.
Let's go.
So first play, we got the Rams team total under 18.5. All season long, we've been talking about how good this Philadelphia Eagles team is, and I think they're just going to absolutely dominate time of possession, and they're going to dominate the red zone appearances that the Rams are going to get. I don't see them getting a lot of points here, maybe some field goals here and there, but I don't know about touchdowns. So Rams team total under 18.5, first best bet. Second one, we got a little plus money here. It's Sam Laporta, anytime touchdown. I think we're going to see the Lions get very creative once they get inside the red zone. I don't think we're going to see a lot of, running the ball straight up the middle with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, especially since he's still a little banged up from that MCL injury. So I like him at plus money. Another play is the Hollywood Brown, over 42.5 receiving yards. He's been explosive in the playoffs. He's finally got a quarterback who knows how to throw the ball. And I could see the opposing defense trying to shut down Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. So I'm thinking we'll see a big game out of Hollywood Brown there. And to close it out, Jaden Daniels, over 294.5 passing plus rushing yards. I know, Alpha, you were big on that one
Yes,
on the passing end, but I like him on the rushing end as well. That offense goes as far as he goes. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to escape the pocket and create some plays. So I'm liking his combined passing and rushing yards there.
I love it, Jimmer. I love the breakdown this week. JD, my guy. What do you got?
All right. Today, we're actually going to go with 3. Let's go to that Texans and Chiefs game. Give me the first half over there. You can get that at 20.5 at actually minus 110. Lions, guys. I think Lions are going to come out hot. They're going to come out strong here. Give me the Lions first half. I said earlier minus 6. It does look like that has moved to 6.5 everywhere now. There's fine. Then
go
ahead.
What happened?
Yeah, UFC main event is canceled. Arman Sarukian is out of the fight against Islam Makhachev with a massive injury. UFC is currently scrambling for a replacement. The main event is off. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Interesting.
Wow.
Charles,
Big news.
That is big. That's really big news.
I have no clue who those people are, but yeah.
The good news is that they
Championship.
still have a co-main event title fight that will now be the main event. The bad news is that was a big fight.
I'm seeing all the comments are here too. That's why I had to get it in. Everyone's talking at the hot news. I'm sorry, JD. I'm sorry.
All right. So the last best bet. I'm sorry, Bills. I'm sorry, guys, but it is game over.
Oh,
Ravens, money line, big.
I respect it. Let me get the graphic up here because we had a lot of plays today, guys. So get your phones out. We have just over 2,000 people here right now. We have 2,001 people here right now. Get your phones out. Take your screenshots. Take out JD's Ravens. Don't worry about that. But all the others are fantastic. And let's cash every single play this weekend. Fellas, we absolutely dominated Super Wildcard Weekend. I think we're going to dominate the divisional round as well. We've broke down all the games today. We've been live for about an hour and a half. Comments, you guys have been absolutely fantastic. We appreciate every single one. It makes it easier for us to be able to answer your questions and give you guys the show that you want and you deserve. So we appreciate every single one of you. And guys, that's going to do it for today's episode of Across the Board, NFL edition / UFC edition / breaking news, whatever the hell you want, we bring it to you. Jammer, we'll start with you. Any parting words of wisdom for the people today?
No parting words. I just want to say shout out to chat. They've been very active today, giving their opinions on the games, giving their questions on props, spreads.
Great
shout out to chat. They killed it.
Great
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ben, do you have any words of wisdom that's outside complimenting the viewers? Because they've been gassed up enough. Their heads are all growing as it is. They know we appreciate them. We ain't got to say it again.
They have been. The only thing I'm going to say this week, now that my Vikings are out of it, it's not completely over. We don't have to be completely sad because we can still see someone potentially win their first Super Bowl. I want a Bills-Lions Super Bowl. That way we are guaranteed to get a franchise their first ever Super Bowl win. Let's get a Bills-Lions Super Bowl, please.
I like that.
I like that too. JD, everyone knows what you're going to say, but it's provocative and gets the people going. So what do you have?
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Well, today's going to be a little bit of a small change here, man. Yesterday for me, just like I said, was actually not a good day. Matter of fact, it actually pissed me off.
Okay.
I really don't get like this much, but it actually pissed me off. So if you are not on with us, now is a really good time. Because these books, we are coming for you this weekend, and we're going to fucking win.
Let's fucking win. He's out. We're out. We'll see you Monday. Let's go. Let's cash everything. Peace, everybody.